Kumagaya City, Japan, Saitama Prefecture. A man was angrily driving back to a dog kennel, his 2 new pets in the back seat. He had paid over 11 million yen, what would be nearly $100,000 today, for 2 Rhodesian Ridgebacks. What he had received instead were 2 old dogs of mixed breed. The couple that had sold the dogs to him had promised a full refund, and he was on his way to collect. His name was Kawasaki Akio, and he was never seen alive again. The Dog Lover Murders was the name given to a rash of serial killings from 1996 committed by killer couple Sekine and Kazama Hiroko. Gin and Hiroko ran a rather successful dog breeding business out of their shop, Africa Kennel. The two were incredibly greedy, however, and it wasn't long before they started running an old scam to help line their pockets. First, one of them would go out and scout a mark, a friend of a friend who had some money, a person they knew but weren't well known to. Then they would approach with a deal. An investment opportunity had fallen into their lap, and they were looking to share the wealth. Often, it would be a stake in the dog shop itself, or, like for poor Akio, they would sell the unsuspecting mark what they claimed to be rare dog breeds. These would turn out to be either mutts or dogs so old they could never hope to recoup the investment. Akio had been in the sanitation business and was looking to branch out when Hiroko came to him with what seemed to be a golden opportunity. She had 2 Rhodesian Ridgeback puppies, dogs that she claimed were worth nearly $80,000. He could buy the pair, breed them, and sell the pups for a profit. When he found out he had been scammed, not only were the dogs not Ridgebacks, but that breed would never even sell for close to that price. If they were, he demanded his money back. Money that Gin and Hiroko did not want to give up. It was here that a difference in culture between East and West may need a bit of an explanation. In Eastern culture, it is considered rude to refuse a gift from an elder. Now, one would think this may not apply if these elders had scammed you out of thousands of dollars, but when Gin offered Akio a vitamin tablet, the young man accepted and took the pill. Strychnine poisoning is a horrible way to die. Within the first few minutes, the muscles begin to spasm. Soon, an extreme form of tetanus sets in, and the body contorts, seizes up, and the joints lock. Imagine the worst muscle cramp, but in every muscle. The brain would bleed, muscles so tight the lungs couldn't breathe, and death came quick for the lucky. The pill contained a lethal dose. As Gin and Hiroko watched Akio die, someone else walked in. Yamazaki, a part-time employee the pair had hired, arrived unscheduled to check on the dogs, and witnessed the murder. Gin attacked the young man. As Yamazaki begged for his life, Hiroko intervened on his behalf. Yamazaki agreed to let Gin use his bathtub to help dispose of Akio's body. In exchange, he would be spared. Gin was a cruel and malicious man. He set about carving Akio's body into small chunks. The bones and clothes would be burned down to ash in a barrel. With the ashes, he would spread them out in some bit of forest, but the meat, now that's where things get really gruesome. Gin had developed quite a reputation around town, but not for his dogs. He would often share meals with members of the Yakuza. He bragged that he had killed over 30 men and was quoted as saying, "I should be awarded the gold medal for murder." Gin was known to share venison sandwiches despite never going hunting. He would later claim that he fed the chopped-up human flesh to fish in various ponds. Police suspect that he did, in fact, serve human meat to people in his neighborhood. While Gin was dismembering and disposing of Akio's body, an old friend of his was watching from a distance. Indo Yashitoshi and his driver had witnessed the pair's crime and were looking to profit. Yashitoshi had been one of the Yakuza members Gin was known to share a meal with, but now that he had something over the man, that friendship meant nothing. Yashitoshi blackmailed Gin and Hiroko. He wanted the shop and its land. The couple invited him and Susumu, his driver, over to discuss the terms. Once again, unbelievably, both men agreed to take one of Gin's pills. Yashitoshi died within minutes, and Susumu seemed unaffected. In a panic, Gin was able to convince him to come along and call for an ambulance. Gin then led the man around the building until the drugs kicked in. With 3 bodies to dispose of, Gin's mind began to wander. How good of an answer was murder to the problems in his life? Sakaguchi Mitsu, his mistress, had been a problem and in need of an answer. He convinced her to invest an unknown amount of money in Africa Kennel and poisoned her the same day she delivered it. There is some speculation that money was not the motivation for this crime, but rather passion. Gin committed these murders on his own, With Hiroko knowing nothing about it, had these dog lover killings brought Gene closer to his ex-wife? Maybe enough to make sure his mistress was out of the way? Akio's family did not take this sudden disappearance lying down. They filed a missing persons case with local authorities, which quickly honed in on Gene and Hiroko. However, other than Akio's car being found nearby, the police had little evidence. They did note that people kept disappearing around Gene and kept him as a person of interest. Then, on January 26, 1994, an odd series of events occurred that would spell doom for the killer couple's hope of a clean getaway. Miles away in Osaka, another rash of dog lover killings had occurred, and an arrest had been made. This caused more pressure on the local police to find the missing people in Saitama. This pressure led to loose lips on the police line, and it didn't take long for the press to get information that would point them back to Gene, the one man all connections led back to. After reporters began sniffing around, Yamazaki, the unwilling accomplice, cracked. He was caught trying to flee with his wife. He confessed, and with that confession, Gene and Hiroko were arrested on January 5, 1995. They were both convicted and sentenced to death for the 4 murders, but Gene was suspected of having committed many more. Yamazaki, having been a victim himself in a way, was only given 3 years for helping dispose of the bodies. It was after their conviction that a young monk named Miki realized just how lucky he was. Miki had been attending university not far from Africa Kennels, back before the Dog Lover Murders. He remembered Gene had offered him a job walking dogs and a can of coffee. Miki had taken the can, but considered against taking the job. Miki encountered Gene 2 more times, and each time the young monk was offered a can of coffee. Gene would later say in an interview how surprised he was that the young monk had picked the correct can every time. The others had been poisoned. Hey, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed my work and want to show some support, I deeply appreciate it. My books can be found on Amazon. I do have a Patreon as well as a Ko-Fi at Ari Brewster. You can find me in all the usual places. Links below. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'm out.
I'm so broke. Yeah, I'm so broke. This dollar won't last. I'm in dire need of cash, 'cause I'm so broke. I'm so broke. Yeah, I'm so broke. No food to eat. I'll sell pictures of my feet, 'cause I'm so broke.